if you're building a startup, doesn't matter what cycle funding aa raha hai, ja raha hai, like all of that is transient. You just focus on the right thing. People who are there just for the glory of it or for the money of it, I think they generally kind of in these down cycles they go out. But people who are really focused on solving problems, they make it.
What is your outlook for the startup ecosystem from here on, given I think it's been a challenging year relative to how, I mean, the period from 2020 to early 2022 was just mind-blowingly fast growth for startups. I think we minted like tens of unicorns in the shortest period of time, etc. And I think visibly the mood has changed. But what is your view on it, given that now you work so closely in the ecosystem, and if you were to put your consultant hat to the problem, how do you see it, and what are the exciting areas for future entrepreneurs or future managers who are going to get out of B schools looking for opportunities to either work in as for jobs or even to start companies? What would be your advice for them?
Got it. So these ups and downs are part of life. Like what you mentioned, right now the funding environment is really bad. Last year, I think very few startups got funded, but in 2020, 2021, a lot of them got funded. And this cycle kind of keeps repeating. So I think abhi maybe ye saal kharab hoga, but next year it might become better. So you can't time the cycles. It's okay. Like cycles will come and go, but if you really want to be a founder or if you want to start something, just focus on the problem. Doesn't matter if it's a up cycle, down cycle. If you really focus on adding value, you are sure. Like basically, if you're creating something which adds value in someone's life, you will make money. Like what happens generally, if you just create some solution and then try to invent a problem for it, things won't work out. But if you focus on the right kind of problem and build products which really add value, the startup will work out. Like Zepto, for example, people really wanted convenience, and they solved the convenience part. So it kind of really kind of picked up. And that's the case across anything. If you are really solving a fundamental problem in life of people, things work out. So that's at least my thinking. If you're building a startup, doesn't matter what cycle funding aa raha hai, ja raha hai, like all of that is transient. You just focus on the right thing. People who are there just for the glory of it or for the money of it, I think they generally kind of in these down cycles they go out. But people who are really focused on solving problems, they make it. And one thing I will just add on this is, don't there's this because of all the shark tanks and media kind of fanfare around startups, a lot of people think ki, oh wow, startup karoge to bahut paisa banega and let's say short way of becoming a billionaire or whatever. That's not really true. If you really want to make money in life, I think it's better to do roles like consulting, where risk adjusted basis you will actually make decent amount of money, be it finance or consulting. If your objective in life is money, startups mein the success rate is so low, very few people end up making money. And जब पैसा भी बनता है तो it's like 10-15 years after you start working, so it's not as if you will see great success for those 15 years. Like just to take one of Mukesh's example, he started Mentra in 2006 and 7. 2011 is when they pivoted. It started as a corporate gifting startup when Mentra started. 2011 is when he pivoted to actually fashion. IPL and all was happening. They started printing this jerseys for one of the teams, I think Rajasthan Royals or something, and it got a lot of traction. That's how they kind of pivoted to a fashion startup. They got some funding, and finally the cash, like let's say the sale happened in 2014. So 7-8 years, it was just a tough journey. It's not as if you make a lot of money during that time. And Mukesh might be an exception. Most other startups don't work out. So if money is the objective, please do any of the safe roles. You risk adjusted basis where you will make a like decent life, live very happy. But if you're really itching from inside ki koi key problem solve karna hai or really you want to build something, then startup is for you. But do it for the like होता है ना, journey के लिए करो, outcome के लिए मत करो. There will be one day you might make something or you might make nothing. But if you're really excited about kind of building great things, solving great problems, then only startups are for you. On your other thing on potential people who might be passing out or what they can do kind of different. I think all of you should pay attention to whatever is happening in Gen AI. I think it's a, and based on my at least understanding, it's a fundamentally uh, it's a fundamental breakthrough. It's similar to what happened when internet actually came in. So these kind of things happen once every like 30, 40 years, where the face of industry really changes in next 10 years. So the way it happened with internet, all these offline businesses went online, and you had so many new companies kind of starting, be it Uber or Amazon or Flipkart, like Ola, like all of these very different businesses model kind of came in. I think similar thing will happen with Gen AI, at least based on my understanding. Maybe it's all fraud, but at least I believe so. The way you do work will be very different. Like right now, let's say you are in any job, you work with 10 softwares, or usme ye click karo, wo click karo. Like it's all very different. It's all very complicated to kind of do work. All of that, because of this large language models, will be massively simplified. Right now, at least we see the potential. It might take some time for the products to be built in. So it's next 5 years, 10 years, where all of this will happen. But whatever job you are doing, let's say some of you guys might be coders, Abhi. I have people, and you would also have seen it. 80% of the work is gone. If you leverage a chat GPT for your work, like for a coding work, I think 80% of it is not required anymore. And that's what will happen across multiple roles, is my belief. So you should just be cognizant of what kind of work you are doing and what could be the potential disruption that could happen on that particular role because of Gen AI. So yeah, I
But
think
what if I um, can't understand the basics of uh, the the backbone of the AI itself, right? Which is how the LLM has been trained, and what is the technology behind it? What is the computing that goes into actually making it happen? Do you think that people who can just think of applications can also do well, or do you think that it will now become a domain of um, engineers who understand the basics of uh, how the AI was built itself, who will thrive as compared to those who are just application users?
I think the great thing about what has happened with Chat GPT and AI is that anyone and everyone can build on top of it. You don't really need to know how the LLM was created, like how GPT-4 was created. Doesn't matter. Even, you just need to understand कि उससे हो क्या सकता है. Like what are the applications that can be created, or what are the capabilities that it has. Like people, even the people who have created this LLMs, they understand the steps that have gone into building it, but they also don't understand अंदर से क्यों काम कर रहे हैं. It just happened, and like there is research happening in terms of understanding why they really work so well, but even they don't know it. So definitely for people like us who want to build some applications on top of it, it's not required. I know of a person who is not a coder. He I think did a bachelor in arts or something. Recently, last 6-8 months back, he had this idea, and he kind of went through this whatever was happening in Gen AI, read up a bit on it, ki what are the potential applications, and figured out ki he wanted to do something for India. So he basically used ChatGPT, created a complete website for legal professionals. So what happens generally in legal profession is you kind of refer to a lot of case laws. जब भी कोई case, like when you go and fight a case, you refer to जब previous के XYZ year में ये case हुआ था, उसमें ऐसा judgment हुआ था, and that's why, like that's the supporting documents you give. So it's a lot of research work that is involved. So this person basically created a legal search website leveraging Gen AI, न्यू जीरो कोडिंग, पूरा चैट जीपीटी के थ्रू प्रॉम्प्टिंग करके नेचुरल लैंग्वेज जैसे सेट कि अच्छा मुझे ऐसा बनाना है, दिस आर द फंक्शंस दैट इट शुड हैव. ChatGPT created the complete code. He has a website up, and right now he's selling to all these law firms these services. So you don't need to know coding. You don't need to know what goes inside LLM. What you need to understand is what is the power of LLM, what are the potential applications, and second thing, what you really need to focus on, what is the problem statement you want to solve, which is the core thing. Like if you know there is a customer segment for whom there is a big issue, and maybe you can leverage LLM to solve it, I think you can do it. It doesn't require any expertise. It's not a domain of engineers, and that's where I think the fundamental disruption. Earlier it was ki only if you knew coding you could do so many cool things, but now if you know nothing about coding, that doesn't matter. If you want to build applications, earlier तुम्हें team hire करना पड़ता था, and you had to work with them for 3-4 months. Now you don't need to do that. You can yourself just talk with GPT and create your code. So it's that simple.
Sure, but there is still a dependence on the integrity and the stability of GPT-4 because I'm relying on that to build my business slash whatever, right? So, I mean, it's just a question I have that eventually, if I don't, it's like, one of those things where, suddenly somebody changed an algorithm in search or in performance marketing, etc. It changes the business metrics of all the businesses. Similarly, if the basic nature of AI changed, and if as an application builder I don't know what is going on underneath, will it can it pose a potential risk to my business? Maybe it's too far ahead that I'm thinking, but it was just one of those things that I was worrying about.
That's a fair point. When this GPT 3.5, and I don't, some of you guys might have heard of DALI 2 that came in last year. So some people kind of created layers on top of DALI to kind of start a business. There was this one guy who started a business wherein you could upload any photo and it gave you like 4 professional photos based on any random photo de do tumhara, and you could use those professional photos for LinkedIn or let's say any place. So that was his thing. He kind of made it work. Now with DALI 3 and other things, all of that is gone because these wrappers that people have created, they become moot. So in 1 year, like I think that Lensa tha, I think the startup, the application ka name, it made $1 million or something, and then now zero. So yes, it's definitely a risk. What might happen is these people who are creating LLMs, they might become so good, or they might add more functionalities which makes your business defunct. So you have to be careful about that. But if you focus on some particular problem statement, a niche where it won't be exciting for them to do anything about, I think then you can kind of create your value. And second is there are multiple options. So earlier it was only OpenAI and GPT 3.5 which had power, but now there are multiple open source model. Even if whatever happens to, let's say tomorrow OpenAI decides कि नहीं मुझे pricing 10x से बढ़ाना है, so that might disrupt your business model. But now there are other open source models out there which you can leverage, which are super cheap. Like there's Mistral company started like about a year back. They have a model out there which is as good as GPT 3.5, and you can use it like for anything that you are doing with ChatGPT. So there are multiple options out there in the market. So I think it's okay. I think you can build on top of it. If you're in the game, you will learn and you will figure out a more tangible business to build. What is your moat, and how you kind of build it out.